Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got 3 replays in the Italian Tier 6 tank destroyer, the Semovente M43 Bassotto. And the Bassotto is the Tier 6 in the Minotauro line, the brand new Italian tank destroyer line that's finally come to console. And yeah, it's been a really enjoyable tank destroyer to play. It's very, very similar to the M41, the Semovente M41 before it, in the fact that it's got about 35 km/h top speed, and it's got very, very good camo. Because if you were to kit this thing out for a camo build with the crew and equipment like camo net and stuff like that, you can get the concealment down to 159 meters of still concealment, which is absolutely fantastic. And this tank has an array of guns to use for it too. It's got a 90mm gun, which you're seeing in this first replay, a 102mm gun, which has 360 alpha, which you're going to see in the second replay, and then a third replay, which you know is going to be my favourite, because Derp is love, Derp is life. You get a 105mm howitzer, which is a Derp gun, and it's a hell of a lot of fun. I absolutely love the Derp gun, and for me, it's the best gun on the tank. Is it going to be the best gun on the tank for everybody? Probably not. You might probably choose either this or the 102. I just absolutely love that Derp gun. It's so fun. But yeah, okay, we'll get to the Derp gun when we get there. This is the 90mm gun on the Bassotto. And the 90mm gun is pretty damn nice. It takes a wee while to get aimed in. Not as long as the 102, to be honest with you. But it gets aimed in. And then you hit people with a pretty decent DPM. I say a pretty decent DPM. It is a very good DPM for 240 alpha. And that is, it takes 1.93 seconds to aim in. It feels like it's a little while, but, it does aim in pretty quickly, as you're seeing here on this CS52 lease. It hits for 240, and the accuracy is 0.34, so it's not actually that bad. So you can do a significant amount of damage to people. If people drive out in front of you, you're going to do damage to them very, very quickly, because you've got 2.8k DPM with this build that you've got on this. And then also they're going to really struggle to spot you too. And it's beautiful. Also, the track traverse on this tank is absolutely insane at 40 degrees a second. Or 46 degrees a second, I should say. So what do I run in terms of a crew on the Bassotto? Well, I run the same as I do on the M41. I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Steady Aim, Run and Gun, Camouflage Expertise, Muffled Shot, Silent Driving. The 3 camo perks to make the most of this camo as much as humanly possible, because this camo is filth, absolute filth, and I want to make the most of it. The Steady Aim to make the accuracy 10% better, as always, and Run and Gun because, well, and especially, as you'll see when I run the Derp gun, I tend to take a lot of shots that are sort of snappy shots on the move and stuff like that, and especially with the tracks and how fast this track traverse is, because it is absolutely rapid on the track traverse. It helps me get the gun aimed in a little bit quicker, because obviously we're naturally 10% more accurate on the move. The gun doesn't bloom up quite as much as it would without running gun while we're on the move and stuff. And as you can see with the CS52 lease, we are in a very unorthodox position for the Bassotto, but we are pushed very aggressively, and we're just going to follow up that CS52 lease and shut him down. You see here again, just 5 seconds reload for 240 alpha on this tank destroyer is very, very nice. You just have to contend with the track traverse, the limited gun arc really on this turretless tank destroyer, and just wait for that gun to aim in and shut them down, as we're going to do to hopefully this snakebite too, maybe? Yes. And in terms of equipment, I run the advanced loader, optics, and the camo net. Again, camo net to make the most of the concealment, optics to spot for myself, and the loader to make my DPM as good as humanly possible. And on this 90mm, it's damn nice to have as good as you can on the reload. So as you can see here, we are taking an aggressive position. Unfortunately, the 90mm lets us down a little bit there as we try and go for the shot on the Hellcat. But we are spotting these guys, and we end up spotting an M44. Something tries to shoot us from behind. It's like, oh god, that's awkward. We try and pop the shot on the move into the M44. Doesn't go anywhere near. We load HE because we've got 45mm of pen of HE. But unfortunately, we get shot by the Caro PAE, and we get shut down by the Charioteer. And we finished that game with the third class, 882 base XP on a loss, 1800 damage, and 2.9k assistance. Which, is pretty nice for a tier 6 tank, right? We ended up with 5k combined. Pretty good going. And yeah, that gun, like I said, that 90mm gun is actually a pretty damn nice tank destroyer gun. 240 alpha at tier 6 is decent. 5-second reload, absolutely fantastic. You've got 165 pen on that gun with 195 on the premium, which means you're going to pen pretty much everything you're going to face, which is fine. But then you move up, and that is that you get to this 102mm gun. And this 102mm gun that you get on the Bassotto fires APCR as standard, with heat on the premium, and HE, naturally. And this gun has a 3k DPM in this build. 3k DPM, pretty damn good. 7.07 second reload for 360 alpha, which is so damn nice on a tank destroyer, especially at tier 6. Now, you might be thinking, oh, APCR as standard. That's got to have good shell velocity, right? 900 meters a second isn't the best velocity in the universe, so do bear that in mind. You still have to lead a decent amount. And yeah, with the 102mm gun, you do also have to bear in mind that you have 5 degrees of gun depression, which makes ridge lines a little bit more awkward than the M41, for example, which has 8 degrees, I think it is. You do have to be a bit more careful on the ridge lines, and it's a little bit less flexible because you only have 5 degrees of gun depression with this gun. You have 6 with that 90mm gun that you've just seen a minute ago, which, again, is an extra degree of gun depression, but means that you're, again, just a little bit more inflexible with this gun than you are the previous gun. By the way, the Derp gun has 10 degrees of gun depression. Just to not sway anyone or anything. But yeah, so this gun has 900 meters a second shell velocity on the APCR, which means, like I say, you do have to lead the rounds as much as possible, but it does hit hard when it hits for 360 alpha. It's really, really nice. And we started this game not in the best vein. That KV2 managed to actually hit us there, which he penned us with HE. But he's not got the top gun. He's got the stock 122mm Derp gun, or the 122mm Russian howitzer, which is why he only penned us for about 450 odd. So we're a very lucky boy that we survived that. We fire again and we get lit, and I'm like, what? Did that leopard really spot me as I fired? I know that I'm firing a big gun, but I thought with my camo build, how good my camo is, I'm going to get, you know, I'm not going to get spotted here. And I'm thinking, I think it is that leopard. It's not. There's something in the bush at E1. It's something that I haven't clicked onto. There is actually something in the bush at E1, which is basically when I'm firing, is spotting me. So as you can see, we fire at this Britannia Panther here, and that's because we're nowhere near that ridge and we're not poking above that ridge line. So that Semovente M41 couldn't actually see us when we were firing at that Britannia the second time. It's always nice to know sometimes, or try and keep your eye on the bush locations where people can be that can keep you lit, because it's always handy to know that. And really, I should have thought of that at the time when I was firing, that because I was just on top of the ridge here, I could actually get lit by that Semovente. So as you see, we're using the bush location as much as humanly possible. We're pulling back behind the bush as much as we can to make sure that it's maximising our camo. And we're just going to keep unleashing rounds into this KV2 with this gun. Like I said, 360 damage on this round is really goddamn nice. Has 175 pen on the standard APCR, by the way, with 215 pen on the heat, which is fine. 175 pen, you're going to pen most things you're going to face. You're going to struggle a little bit with tier 8s with 175 pen, but you have 215 heat rounds, right, which will pen a lot of what you're going to face at tier 8s, but you do have to bear in mind that you know, you're going to struggle a little bit against tier 8s. But if you get the side and rear and stuff like that, you'll be fine. You just, yeah, I think that's the life of being +2, right? So as you can see, we've got 1200 assistance so far with 1300 damage. I'd pushed into the bush to see if I could spot anything, and we ended up lighting something up, but yeah, unfortunately it also lit up one of our teammates and it died, and our teammates died. We're on to 91 hit points, which means, well, we've been on 91 hit points since the KV2 blapped us. We do have to be careful now. We have to play it very, very patiently, because if I push forward and get spotted, I am dead. Now, I do have very good camo, and with coated optics and situational awareness and born leader, we actually have a pretty decent view range on this tank, and that is 461 meters, which is pretty good for a turretless tank destroyer at tier 6, because a lot of them are not going to get anywhere near that. And that means that we can spot for ourselves, and because we've got such good camo as well, we're actually going to be able to stay unspotted a lot of the time, and we really are going to outspot a lot of the tanks. So as you can see, we just have to sit and wait. It may be a little bit boring, but it's life. We're going to have to sit and wait to see if the enemy team pushes and makes a mistake, or if one of my team goes and spots. So you can see I'm getting a little bit restless here. We're just having to sit, because at the minute they've got 4 tank destroyers. We know there are like 3 of them at least down there, and I'm pretty sure there's another Bassotto somewhere. And there we go, the Britannia Panther gets spotted, and we fire at that Britannia Panther and get lit ourselves, which means whatever it is has moved back into that bloody bush, like myself. And the moment we fired at the Britannia Panther, we got lit up, which is irritating. And I decided, you know what? I'm not sure I can stay there, because, yes, it's not going to end well for me, pretty much. And I'm thinking, right, okay, I'm going to pull back as much as I humanly can, and then I'm going to stop blind firing these bushes. I might not be able to find anything, or I might be able to find something. I don't know. We're just going to put blind shots and see if anything happens, because, yeah, we end up seeing a shot fly, or shell tracing. You can see the shell tracers flying there, and I'm pretty sure you can see where the AP is coming from. I'm thinking it's somewhere there. You can see how close we were to shooting that Semovente, but he is literally just in the bush, but just enough below the ridgeline so that we can't quite feather a shot at it. So we'd have been very lucky to hit that guy if we had. But now he's got spotted and pulled back. I'm actually going to move forward back towards where I was to see if I can angle for a shot at this Semovente that is down in the middle, because that way that if we can get rid of that guy, absolutely wonderful times. And from this little ridgeline up here at G1, I can get good shots across the mid-ridge, and we can hopefully be able to help our team out. And we can move up. As we've seen, we've also got spotted this KV2. Now, something to bear in mind with this 102mm gun is that you do have a 2.5 second aim time with the setup that we have, that I've recommended. And that means that the aim time is a little bit slow. It is a little bit slow, especially with the amount of times that you have to move the gun and move the tracks to get the gun on target. The aim time can be just a little bit of a pain with how slow it is, and because the accuracy is at 0.32, sometimes it does just miss. So yeah, you've got to bear in mind that because of the limited the limited gun traverse, and the aim time, that you just have to make sure that you're aiming this gun in. And with 5 degrees of gun depression, like I say, on some of the ridge lines, it's going to be a little bit awkward. But when you do get the chance to shoot things like Britannia Panthers like this, it's a glorious time, because, once again, for 360 alpha, look how fast we wrecked that guy. That guy got 2 shot from, well, I say 2 shot, he only had 2 shots of health. We managed to get rid of him within 14 seconds. Great time. Great time. I'd say the DPM on this tank is, again, absolutely fantastic for 360 alpha for this kind of gun. It's just, I'd say this tank, again, this is another tank destroyer in the line. It's just another solid hit. It's really nice to play. You've got a really nice solid choice of guns. You've got this 102mm gun, which is fantastic. The Derp gun, which is absolutely hilarious. And then the 90mm gun, which is really fairly consistent too. As you can see, we managed to shut down that SU-85, waiting for the reload to go in. We get the shot into that Bassotto there, and he's unspotted. So it's like, well, yeah, I'm not going to be able to get another shot into this guy. Do I sit here and wait? There's only 4 tanks left on the enemy team. There's 5 tanks on our team. And it's like, it's now Bassotto against Bassotto. And then this Semovente gets spotted. So it's like, okay, you know what? We're going to aim up, shut down the Semovente, and we are getting out of dodge. We are running. I knew I was going to get spotted the moment I fired, so I didn't hesitate. As soon as I pulled the trigger, I was off. I was going. Bassotto against Bassotto on this one line is not going to work, because naturally, especially if we're set up very similarly, right? We were set up for camo, and we both have optics. We're going to spot each other at the same time, and I don't want that life, right? Because that's chancing it, and we don't want to chance that. So instead, because the capture KV1's just got shut down by the OI, we know the other tank was somewhere along the 789 line, so we're going to push over and see if we can get into a position to shoot and help our friends that are pushing that way. And there we go. The medium tank gets spotted on the hill. I believe it's a buggy, and we can actually get shots at this buggy if we get towards it on this mid-ridge. So that's what we're going to try and do if we can. So, as you can see, we're closing the distance. There we go. The buggy finally gets into render range. He's tracked on top of the hill. We pull over, slow down a little bit to make sure that the aim time won't be too long, and we get the shot in to shut down that buggy. And that's another nice kill for the Bassotto here on Prokhorovka. And we're up to 5 kills with 3.2k damage and 1400 assistance. Well, nearly 1500 really, only 7 shy. And we know where their Bassotto is. We know exactly where he is. He's somewhere along the 2 line. Which means that if I was him, he's either progressed to try and go kill the artillery, which is what I'd do, kill the piggy always. Or he's going to have dropped back probably to somewhere like A3, A2. Now, I know I can push across into their side of the map quite easily because I have ridiculously good camo. And because of that, naturally, he's not going to spot me. I would have to get very, very close to those bushes over there before he will spot me. And it's exactly the same for me with him. Again, though, we know that he's a one-shot, and so am I. But he's probably in the range of a very lucky low roll. Whereas I'm not. I'm just going to die the moment he shoots me. Our little light tank is coming over, the AMX ELC BIS, and I'm like, okay. We're going to play the tank destroyer. We're going to support the AMX ELC. And we're just going to sit here and wait. So he's either going to be over there, where I've just demonstrated, or he's going to be sitting in those bushes there. I'm pre-aimed for these bushes over here because that's where I expect he's probably pulled back to. And it's just like, go on ELC, spot him up. If you spot him up, I will blap him. And it's like, okay, he's not lit him up yet. So is he in those bushes over there? Where is this guy? I'm surprised he hasn't been spotted yet. I thought the ELC would have lit him up by now. And there we go. He ends up spotting him. He's actually stayed over the ridge and on the other side. So he's still managed to get safe from everyone else except for the ELC. And he shuts down the ELC. But we have the benefit now of knowing exactly where this Bassotto is. And he doesn't know where we are. So we're going to go charging in. And at this point, I know the tank destroyer behind me is close enough that if I miss and he kills me, we're probably going to win. We're aim. And fortunately enough, the gun depression doesn't quite screw us over there. And we finish the game with 6 kills. The victory. Top of the team, 6 kills, 3.5k damage, 1493 assistance. The ace, not the ace tanker, the first class, sorry. The high caliber and the top gun, 1950 base XP. Not quite an ace. Don't know what, you might see that actually in the next replay. I think I end up getting like 2.2k base XP at some point. And it's still a first class. And that's because of the way that the system is these days, like the MOEs. The MOEs and the ace tankers are exactly the same, where they end up being set to the hardest number that is at the tier. So basically the hardest tier 6 tank to ace, or the hardest tier 6 TD to ace, will be the ace requirements for the Bassotto. So whatever that is, I have no idea. So it's actually more than 2.2k base XP, which is mad. But yeah, so that's, if you're ever wondering where you go, how did I end up getting like 2k base XP and it's not an ace on a tank that's first time round, or first day of it? That's why. Same as the MOE requirements, and you go, why is the MOE not moving too much? It's because it gets set to the hardest of that tier, of that class, pretty much, for the first day, until it gets its own data. So as you can see, we're on Serene Coast, and we are using the gun that I have loved, absolutely loved using. It's been so much fun to use. And that is this 105mm gun. The Derp gun, the howitzer. It's got 105mm of HE pen and 230mm of heat pen. Now, the one thing that I do on this tank is I run the ammo swapper or advanced reload instead of the camo net. Because the camo net is actually, well, because without the camo net, we still have very good camo. It's still very, very good camo for the tier, and a lot of the tanks at our own tier will really struggle to still spot us with 219 meters of still concealment. So I decided, you know what, if I'm going to run the Derp gun, I'm going to run the advanced reload so that I can switch between these fantastic heat rounds at 230 pen heat with 360 alpha and the HE rounds. So as you can see, we're going to load heat so that we can launch it at stuff like this Caro P88, who unfortunately managed to snap us there with the shot. And yeah, you could see with those shots into that T29, by the way, pixel shot that T29's cupola, which was nice. We have 410 meters of velocity on the HE and 330 meters of velocity on the heat, which means our shell velocity is atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. And yeah, that means that we are going to struggle quite a lot at long range, and you really, 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 really have to lead the shell if you want to hit people. But also, it means that if you want to blind fire people, most of the time you can't blind fire because it will just fire into the distance. Now, in this replay you're seeing here on Serene Coast, I did realise, actually, when I was just playing with the ammo there, that I ended up putting on the camo net by accident, or should I say I put camo net on to show someone the camo while I was on stream with the camo net on, and then I forgot to put the advanced reload back on. So this one we aren't running the ammo swapper, but I do generally run the ammo swapper so I can switch between the two rounds, because both rounds are exceptionally useful to use, and they'll help in a lot of different situations. So as you can see, we are at a tier 6 in a tier 7 game in this one, and we're up to 2k damage already with 3 kills and 990 assistance. We're a one-shot, though, which makes it very, very awkward for us. We're loading HE because I thought, well, with the HE I can kill this guy in one shot. But we didn't need to, as the Lioness managed to actually shut that guy down. Which means now, unfortunately, though, on this flank, we don't really have anyone that's going to go spotting for us. Because, yeah, being a tank destroyer, we kind of need someone to possibly go spotting for us if we can, especially with no hit points left, because we're going to die if we get spotted. We have no armor. We literally have 0 armor. We may have angles that may occasionally ricochet shells here and there, but generally, the Bassotto has, like, 50mm of upper plate armor, and then the superstructure is 75mm of armor, which is basically nothing. But if you, by the way, if you are another Bassotto shooting a Bassotto with a derp gun, you can pen it quite easily with the HE. Because you have 440 alpha damage on the HE with 105 pen. I can't stress to you how good that is on a howitzer at this tier. There are so many tanks at this tier, at tier 5, at tier 6, and even at tier 7, that you can pen with 105 penetration. And lots of plates you can pen with that too, which means you can do some big, big damage. Add to that, you've got a 5.8 second reload, which is actually far quicker than some of the other tanks, well, the other guns as well. I mean, you're 0.8 of a second slower reload than the 90mm, which has 240 alpha, and you are, what, 1.2 seconds faster reload than the 102mm gun. And you can do stuff like that to M43 Scorpions for 420. Lovely stuff. Derp gun. Derp is love. Derp is life. This gun is me all over. Add to that you do get 10 degrees of gun depression with this gun. The 10 degrees of gun depression cannot be understated how helpful it is on this gun. It really helps you in a lot of ridge lines. What we were doing to that Caro P88, the tier 7 heavy tank that we saw demolish with the heat rounds earlier on, I would have really struggled to do that with the 102mm. Even the 90mm. Apart from the fact that I've got the alpha, well, take the heat rounds with the 360 alpha, right? That is the same as the 102mm with its APCR rounds. But I do have 230 pen, which is lovely. I would have struggled to do that with the 102 because 5 degrees of gun depression would have meant I would have had to really overexposed to kill that Caro, and that Caro would have killed me quite easily. Whereas I can just poke over a little bit, blap him with the round, and then pull back, and I get back to safety very, very quickly. And that's where this derp gun is definitely very, very good in terms of just having, you know, that's whatever you want to call it, gun depression. There we go. The aim time, by the way, on this gun is 2.95 seconds with the setup that we have. So it is a fairly long aim time, but it is a derp gun, so you've got to expect it, right? But it doesn't actually feel that horrific for a derp gun again. Again, it's the annoying little bits and bobs of very, very fast track traverse and limited gun arc, which sometimes means you swing, especially if you're trying to snap onto a target, you swing past them, and that means that your bloom is massive and you have to wait for it to aim in, which can be a little bit awkward. So as you can see so far in this game, it's 3-4. We have 3 tanks left, they have 4. This game is not looking too good at the minute, so I've avoided the cap. I've not let them know that I'm here, although really if they were paying attention to the map earlier on, they probably would know I'm here. And we are going to skirt around the outside and try and find the tank destroyer, which I thought was somewhere at K8. We did see it heading this way to K8, so I thought maybe he's sitting in the bushes around this corner on the right. We're going to go try and find it, see if we can derp it, and try and get some guns out of the game. And by doing this as well, I can possibly use this ridge and all the bushes over here to shoot the people if they decide to come back from where we've just seen them fighting at G8, 9, where that guy's just pinged. And there we actually end up finding the Semovente, and disaster. The shell misses. But glorious for us, he misses us. Derp guns, am I right? Derp guns. Yeah, all right. We'll take that. We missed, but he missed, and then we got to shut him down. Now there's only 2 tanks left. There's the Bassotto and the other guy, which is the Scorpion. The first shot doesn't pen the Bassotto, but it tracks him. He repairs, and we shut him down with that HE round. Now it's just 3v1. It's the M56 Scorpion against me, this other Bassotto, I think it is, and then a TD that is at a 5. And it's like, okay, where's this M56 gone? We're on 5 kills with nearly 3k damage, 990 assistance. It's nice going so far. And it's like, I want to win this game. And there we go. The M56 Scorpion's actually just gone and killed another Bassotto. There was 3 of us. It's just gone and killed the other Bassotto near our cap. And it's a game of, let's see if we can get there, because we can one-shot the M56 Scorpion with our HE rounds, especially if he's on the same hit points he was earlier on, which was like 400. Because we have 440 alpha, most of the time we are going to kill him. So if we hit him, and again, 105 pen, number 1, the Scorpion has like 2mm of armor or something like that, which means that you hit him, he's dead. Although I have ricocheted off those things before, which is stupid. But yeah, so if we hit him with the HE rounds, we're going to kill him. But the problem is, we're a one-shot for him, and potentially he's a one-shot for us, unless we get exceptionally unlucky and hit his tracks, and then the HE just detonates on his tracks. This is going to be an awkward time, so I'm thinking, I don't really want to get away from my tank destroyer friend, because if we split up, it's going to make it very, very easy for the... It's going to make it very, very easy for this Scorpion to come around and kill us both. Because, well, he could catch me out the blue. He has a turret. He doesn't have a very big turret traverse, or your limit, or anything like that. But he still has a turret, which makes it far easier for him to snap a shot onto me than it does for me to onto him. And I'm looking at it going, he's either stayed back at A4 and then is waiting near our cap, or he's going to have traversed back down towards their cap. Or he's going to be sitting around D1. So I'm thinking, you know what, okay. What we're going to do is we're going to traverse towards their cap. We're going to go and see if we can find him over here. Maybe he's camping at K3. Maybe he's just trying to kite round. There's a rock there, you moron. And we'll find him. And if we find him, if we just poke over onto the train tracks and find him, absolutely wonderful. We know exactly where he is. But we don't spot him. Because naturally, the M56 Scorpion has unbelievable camo, the exact same as me, which is kind of awkward. So you can see, I don't spot him doing that, and I think, you know what, I think we're going to have to cap. 4 minutes left, we're going to have to cap and try and draw him out, because it's not going too well. So I ping the cap to let the other Bassotto know, look, I'm going to get to the cap. I'm going to cap. If you come to help me, we could win this game. So I sit in the cap and I think, right, okay, maybe he's still at D1. There's a big possibility, though, that he's already kited round. And he's possibly already at somewhere like G6, 7, because it is a quick tank destroyer. I was going to sit in my bush, but I think, you know what? No. Look at where my Bassotto is coming from. My Bassotto is coming from the 8 line, and I think, I'm going to take the gamble. If he's going to come behind me, hopefully my Bassotto will spot him coming behind me. And if he does come from behind me, maybe I will be able to back out up to this rock and force him to miss. And then I can face the bigger target, which is round this train line. And then my spidey senses are tingling a little bit. I'm thinking, no, you know what? If he's going to come from anywhere, and if he has been at E1, he's going to come round this corner. And just as I was thinking it, Bob's your uncle. Hello, Mr. M56 Scorpion. Thank you very much, sir. And we shut down the M56 Scorpion, bringing a tense ending to a close. We finished with 6 kills, 3.3k damage, 990 assistance, the top gun, the high caliber, the first class, 2.1k base XP, and it's not an ace tanker. Yep, that's the way it goes. And yeah, that brings an end to the video for the Bassotto, which again is an absolutely fantastic Tier 6 tank destroyer. Been a hell of a lot of fun to play, and it's another great installment to this tank destroyer line, another great entry for it. So far, so good. Good start. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
Great success!